Chain Drug Review, and Mass Market Retailers Video Forum. Brought to you by the Emerson Group.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Wolt, Editor-in-Chief of Chain Drug Review and Mass Market Retailers. Welcome to our video forum. Today our guest is Anthony Aloia, Corporate Vice President of the Private Label Manufacturers Association. Anthony, great to have you with us.
Hi, Jeffrey. Thank you for having me here today.
Store brands continue to perform very well in terms of sales and customer retention. What do those recent trends tell us about the future of the category?
I have some fresh data here from Circana, which I think it's worth leading off from. So I'll just take a quick look here, Jeff. Showing during the first 8 months of 2024, store brand dollar sales grew 2.6%, outpacing national brands by 1%. In unit sales, store brands also outperformed the national brands, increasing by 2.3%. While the brands declined by 0.8%. And for the period ending August 11th, store brands achieved all-time highs in both dollar, 20.3%, and in unit share at 22.8%. So the trend is still positive, as you can see. Again, with that said, let's look at some of the retailer and consumer trends. First and foremost, quality product is essential to any private label program. Retailers today are well aware that they need to consistently provide quality products across all their store shelves. We see consumers time and again rate retailer brands very highly. In the Consumer Reports Taste Test, findings show that of 70 store brand products in one of their last tests, 76% tasted just as good as the name brand. And in our own PLMA study on Gen Z shoppers, 64% say they buy store brands always or frequently. And this bodes well for the industry. Gen Z represents approximately 80 million people. Retailers are also making store brands a strategic priority. There are new retailers, new formats, online disruptors that are leading with the private label first business model. Look at Thrive Markets, for example, which generates a significant portion of their sales from private label and feature an AI-powered shopping cart to help their customers discover new items. Strong European private label operators such as Lidl have entered the U.S. market. Aldi marches on their expansion for another 800 new stores within the next 5 years. Retailers such as Walgreens, as early reports are suggesting private label first strategy as they go through their transformation. And retailers are always refreshing their private label lines. I mean, Walmart just came out with their new Better Goods brand. Target earlier had come out with their Deal Worthy brand, and CVS has updated some of their private label lines under a new Well Market brand. Another strategy and trend that you've seen for quite some time are adding more SKUs on the store shelf with that multi-tier private label approach of a premium, everyday, and a value brand, which in some categories may eliminate the tertiary brand altogether. So it's a great strategy. And of course, retailers are carrying private label items across all aisles of the store today, right? If we look at Costco's Kirkland Signature, it's the biggest consumer brand in the world at $58 billion in sales. And that was just in 2023. I think Kirkland brand was, maybe 30 years old now. So in just a relatively short period of time, if it were a standalone company, it would be larger in sales than Nike, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, among a lot of other corporate giants. So, and Costco's stated goal, from the get-go has been to make a Kirkland products equal or better quality than the national brands. And, another example is Kroger has developed the biggest brand in the U.S. Of their natural organic products with 3 billion line called Simple Truth.
You mentioned product categories, and then now private label is pretty much across the board. Are there certain areas where private label is gaining traction where perhaps in the past it struggled a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. What I would first look at it is, store brands are ubiquitous today, right? They're sold in 97% of all food and non-food categories. And they range in private label share from the low to middle single digits to as high as 60 or 70%. Each category has its own story. Some categories are so large that even a modest store brand share can be very profitable for a retailer, such as cold cereal or analgesics, for example. A few decades ago, a large part of a grocer of a supermarket was really considered off limits to store brands, certainly parts of the center store, produce in particular. Now there are fewer of those unbrandable sections, if you will, such as cola. Some of the most successful, though, store brand introductions are in some of the more mature categories, are all due to product quality and innovation. And I think that's what we see today. Rising tide of sales, for the most part, has raised all categories. When we look just at our own private label yearbook, ending in 2023, private label sales were at $236 billion. If we looked at the historical gain on this, going back to just 2009, where we reported store brand sales had reached $86.4 billion. So in a short period of time, in 15 years, we are now seeing a growth of 273%. So I think that is really a phenomenal place we're in a relatively short period of time. And I think one way to sum it up, or another way to slice at this with categories, I'm going to read off to you a report that I just came across from PDG Insights. It's a marketing company, and they're saying that the average U.S. consumer is buying private label in 8.3 categories today. The trend is similar regardless of age, income, ethnicity, or presence of children in the household. So people might be buying different categories, but ultimately everyone is buying private label categories. So I think that really sums it up nicely. If we take a look maybe a bit more specifically, one category gaining some traction is between consumers and retailers alike, is beauty and personal care, powered by innovative and unique products, and even whole lines. I mean, beauty's enjoying an unprecedented surge of interest. If we take a look at Dollar General, for example, a bunch of years ago they launched their Believe brand. And that had gone viral on social media. Following that, they've created recently their Beauty Reinvention store concept. And here the goal is to create a one-stop beauty destination with all their products costing $6 or less. And this is a company that's in the mid of opening hundreds of new stores. One could take a look at Sephora, for example, too. They've committed to the store within a store concept as well, and they have a whole wall dedicated to their own brand, such as the Sephora collection. Among all the departments, the leader in 2023 for store brand sales growth was the beauty department, which increased 11% to $4 billion. Store brand sales share rose 8%, and unit share moved to 13%.
You mentioned inflation, and obviously that's something we've had to grapple with here in the U.S. in recent years. Getting better now, but still not gone. What has that meant for the growth of the private label business here in the U.S.?
We've always seen private label be on a consistent growth factor level. It has its ups and downs. It's gone through recessions, but we've always seen, coming out of economic challenges, if it's recessions or, as I mentioned, the currency, euro currency creation, shoppers, consumers, when they do try that private label, many times they stick with it. The quality is there. There's a great value for your money. And nowadays, retailers are really doing an exceptional job trying to attract and create that product differentiation. Do
you have a figure for the U.S. Private label penetration across the board?
We're approaching that 22% overall, and I think it's going to continue to grow in favor of store brands.
Okay. Anthony, are there any notable innovations going on that our audience should know about in the store brand field? We
mentioned earlier about the grocery store store brand sales reaching $236 billion last year. First, we think that number is well north of $300 billion once you factor in those retailers that don't share their sales figures. We're seeing non-food departments, maybe just as important as the food categories, doing very well today, with nearly $54 billion in sales last year, an increase of 5% from 2022. Non-food store brand products in the U.S. are booming. reaching 25% unit share. We're also seeing an emphasis, a greater emphasis on the grab-and-go food options. Traditional American eating habits has been transformed by the changing work patterns and time constraints, of course. As a result, particularly Gen Zers and millennials are increasingly seeking healthier yet affordable grab-and-go meal and snack options. They're shopping for new food and beverage flavors, creating a significant opportunity for retailers to develop more authentic and diverse, let's say, consume at any time type of store brand offerings in this trending area. We think wine and spirits is the next frontier for private label. PLMA's International Salute to Excellence Awards, which you mentioned earlier, produced winners from the United States, including Aldi, Circle K, Albertsons, and New Seasons Market, which is a chain of neighborhood grocery stores operating in Portland, Oregon. At the 2024 Spirits Business Global Gin Masters Award, 3 of Aldi's own label gins won the gold medal in their respective categories. And PLMA is going to host a webinar as well on and organizing an expert panel to discuss this emerging category at our trade show in November. So, we'll say more later on in the fall. However, let me share this quote from Julie Ashfield, the managing director of Bayer from Aldi UK, and I think this is just brilliant. This recognition shows we are producing world-class gins on par with premium brands for just a fraction of the price. So, and looking quickly at store brand pet products, sales for the 52 weeks ending earlier, total volume in the pet care department rose 5.3 to 5.3 billion, up 3.8%. And another noteworthy trend, and it's been going on certainly since the pandemic, is looking at health and wellness trends and social concerns. Consumers today are more informed and better educated on what they buy due to the changing needs and taste, adhering to the latest diet and health regimens, greater awareness of the effects of allergens, as well as the impact on their behavior on the environment today. In a McKinsey report last year, Gen Z respondents said fitness was a very high priority for them. Planet Fitness Gym reports more than 4 million new members from 2019 through the end of 2023. So, CPG products with healthy and dietary attributes are important, be it free from, low sugar, low salt, heart healthy, for example, or functional foods and beverages. Consumers are seeking items with specific health and wellness attributes. Another notable trend, Jeff, are retailers adapting to the changing American consumer, whose taste for new cuisines has been influenced by TV shows, celebrity chefs, travel, restaurants, and gourmet and specialty shops. Demographics over the last 2 decades here show the Asian population grew by 100% to 21 million people, and the Hispanic population grew about 80% to nearly 64 million folks. In Texas alone, Hispanics make up the largest ethnic group in the state at more than 40%, and retailers are adapting in kind with their private label offerings. So more and more shoppers today are searching for those authentic country of origin products.
Mm-hmm. Anthony, a final question for you. You mentioned the store brands phenomenon, which of course is your trade show in November. What should retailers and suppliers expect this year from the event?
Jeff, the PLMA trade show, offers one-stop sourcing for retail and wholesale buyers across all product categories. This year's event will have a record turnout of nearly 1,800 suppliers, more than 3,000 booths, representing well over 35,000 food and non-food products from over 60 countries. The show's annually, most folks don't know this, but the show's annually honored by Trade Show Executive Magazine as a Gold 100, one of the largest shows in the United States. But essential to retailers' ability to capture all the benefits of what store brands have to offer, they must have a reliable, broad, and experienced manufacturer base. And that's really where our show comes in. When one looks at trade shows across the country, they tend to be vertical industry events, which is normal. On the other hand, the PLMA show is rather unique. Private label spans across all product categories, as we've discussed, And our show is the only CPG event in the entire country that features thousands of agile vendors in hundreds of product categories that, to fill up every store aisle. So it's very unique in that perspective. Our South Hall, which hosts our non-food suppliers, the product categories range from bath, body, and skincare, personal care, grooming, OTC and health and wellness, first aid, paper and plastic goods, household cleaners and wipes, as well as products we discussed earlier, some baby care, pet care, among others. In the food hall, product categories range from all center store foods, including snacks, candy and cookies, cereal, pasta, and rice, sauces, condiments, seasonings, canned foods, ready-to-drink beverages, coffee and tea, and certainly to infant and toddler, to fresh, frozen, and refrigerated, which includes dairy, bakery, and prepared foods. As we mentioned earlier, some of these burgeoning categories that are going to be featured at the PLMA show includes areas dedicated to plant-based. We'll have, in particular, alternative meats. We dedicated on the show floor with our wine and spirits section. And of course, our specialty and ethnic food products coming in from all over the world. They add colorful flags and banners to the show floor. Suppliers from more than 60 countries will be represented in many of the located throughout the show floor, national pavilions from Canada, South America, Europe, and Asia, providing this year's probably greatest assortment ever of products. And I'll leave you with this, Jeff. In addition to all of the products and product innovation, equally important for industry collaboration is innovation and efficiencies from those service providers to the industry. And you can find those at the show too, including software companies featuring AI tools, the latest in sustainable packaging, warehousing and cold storage, as well as those organizations bringing product certification standards to the industry. And for those that have never visited the PLMA show, it's truly an outstanding event for a dynamic industry, shouldn't be missed. It's B2B with a compact schedule set up to be highly efficient for buyers.
Yeah, certainly a must-attend event, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you for your time today, Anthony. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much, Jeff. Pleasure being here.